Hello everyone, and welcome back to Gander Gardening with Dawn. If this is your first time here at my channel, thank you. You are very welcome. Today I'm going to be cutting a bouquet from my garden in the hopes that I don't make that much difference to my garden. And by that I mean I'm going to try to remove flowers that won't be missed that much. I'm going to be putting together an arrangement later in the day. What I do is I cut my flowers very early in the morning. I try to be out before 7 a.m. Actually, by 6 a.m. Would even be better. And I take with me this dollar store container. It's a waste paper basket, but it has nice little handles. I take this with me with cool, clean water. And as soon as I cut the flowers, I put them in this water. And I continue doing that as I go around the garden looking for flowers. And I let those condition, which means after I have cut the flowers that I'm going to use for the arrangement, I take my bucket and I put it in my garage where it's cool and dim, and I leave it there for at least 6 hours so that then I can make the arrangement later, sometimes recutting, mostly recutting the stems if there's enough stem length to do that. And if that's something you're interested in, to see how I put an arrangement together by cutting the flowers, conditioning the flowers, making the arrangement, stick around. I always try to cut the flowers that are in the back of an area as opposed to those that are in the front of an area. And in addition to that, I try to make sure that I leave enough from each plant that the plant will continue to grow and do well. So right here we have some of these beautiful Crimson Better Nicotiana, which do really well in an arrangement. Some of them are not looking quite as good right now, but I see a branch that's looking quite nice, and it's low and in the back. So if I cut it, certainly from the street no one will notice, but it won't make that much difference. So I'm going to cut down as far as I can while still leaving some growth so that that one will bounce back, because these keep on blooming right until a frost. And yes, we have all fresh, delicious looking blooms and a nice long stem. So now I'm going to put this immediately into the water. Right here, there is a lovely selection of these light salmon snapdragons. You can see that there are a lot of buds here that are going to be coming up and blooming in a little while. And there's one there clearly visible, some here clearly visible. So I don't want to remove those from the garden. But down there, behind this very large David phlox that won't be in bloom for another couple of weeks, is a stem that we can't even see. So why not take that one for our bouquet? And I actually got two stems down there behind this David phlox that are not even visible. So why not? Let's put those in a bouquet where they completely will be visible. Quite low down here, although the stems are certainly long enough to use, there is a small section of snowball feverfew. These are have been in bloom for a while, and they're soon going to be going over. So this is a great time to use some while they're still usable. Here we go. So, removing all of the lower stems once again, and here we have, and I'll tidy it up a little more before I put it in the arrangement, but look at this lovely puffy little white accent. Here in my main bed in our front garden is the least place that I like to remove many flowers, because this bed is the most visible from the front. And as you can see, this time of year, it relies heavily on white, red, and very dark pink flowers. However, there are plenty, and I mean plenty, of Shasta daisies here, and they're looking pretty good. And I like the ones that are not quite as big. And I see some that are growing up inside the David phlox,
and those will definitely not be missed.
This is the container cutting garden that is on the driveway side of our house, and around the corner, out of view, I still try to get the flowers that are least visible because I see it when I walk by, and I definitely like to leave some pretty flowers in the front whenever I can. This one is not quite open yet, but it will fully open in the vase. Farther down in my cutting garden, here we have what's going to be the star of this arrangement, and that is these dahlias. These are Mr. Optimist dahlias, and aren't they magnificent? But just like my philosophy in other areas of the garden, I don't want to remove too many of these to take the look away, even just from me walking by, because I still like enjoying these flowers in my garden. And I'm going to cut these without taking any buds that are going to come later. And I'm going to show you a little trick later of how you can use flowers in a vase with fairly short stems with the help of a twist tie. So you might want to stay tuned for that. So I'm going to get these fully open that are in the back. And you can see that this is not a terribly long stem, but I'm going to make it work. And isn't this gorgeous? And this is definitely going to pull together the warm reds and the peachy colors. Isn't that lovely? And this one has a pretty good stem and not losing any buds for future flowers. I've decided that since these two in the front are soon going to be going over, and they're both connected, and there aren't any other buds on this stem, that I'm going to go right to the bottom right here below these two, and I'm going to take these for the arrangement as well. So these are definitely going to be the stars of this arrangement. And just in front of and below those dahlias, those Mr. Optimist dahlias, there's a pot here that has some zinnias in it, and also some columbine seedlings that I'm going to be planting out for next year. But there's this lovely, this is a ballerina zinnia, one of the new introductions from Johnny's Seeds for this year. And I'm just looking to see how much of this one I will have to lose. And I can see that connected to it, there are 1, 2, 3 other stems that are coming up. So although I'm going to lose a couple of buds, I am going to cut this one down pretty low. It's not going to be a really tall arrangement. So I'm going to cut it right there. I'm going to remove the lower leaves. And there's another ballerina in another area of the garden that I'm going to get and put them in the arrangement, because zinnias have an incredibly long vase life, and this color is just going to go so great with the color palette that we've chosen. So here are the flowers that we cut together this morning. So I am in my laundry room now, which doubles as my gardening area, indoor gardening area, I should say. And this is the container that I'm going to use for my arrangement. And inside there's some old wire that I have created kind of a frog, so that the stems will have something to help keep them upright. And so I'm going to put together my arrangement now. And in the sink over here, you can see I put the whole bucket with all of the flowers that I have, and I have my snips here. So as I often do, I'm going to make a little mess here in my laundry room. Here we go. And this one I'm only just going to cut a tiny bit off because it's not as tall as the others. And put that. Alrighty. There. Okay. These have pretty strong stems, so they're going to help support some of the other flowers. You can see how pretty they are. So yeah, I'm going to tuck in a couple of these. All of this is really just going to be a supporting act for the main stars, which are going to be the dahlias for sure. But yeah, these are going to be supporting actors. This is another beautiful Nicotiana. This one is much too long, so I'm going to be cutting off some of the bottom, making sure the leaves are not going to be in the water. And I don't go for a formal look. I want these to look as natural as possible. I don't want it to look overly contrived. I want it to look exactly what it is, just a few flowers that I snipped out of my garden. And I think now this is a good time to put in this cosmos. And I just love this structure, and this is going to give some of the others some support. So I'm just going to take the tiniest bit off the bottom, again on a 45-degree angle. And this is going to act as a great support. I'm going to put this right through the center right here. Add some of these snapdragons. Now, some of these snapdragons have spent blooms on them, and I'm going to remove those and any of these little leaves that might be under the water. Isn't that pretty? And I'm going to put this one in right here. Okay. Alrighty, now before I go too much further, I think I should put in some of the focal flowers. So the main two are going to be these two that are connected. They are quite large, as you see. I'm just going to cut a tiny bit off the bottom on a 45-degree angle, and I'm going to put those right down through this center. And now that there are a lot of plants in there, I think that this ballerina zinnia would look really good on the one side of that. And I think I'm going to leave this branch on there also, just for bulk. And you can see the thickness of this particular stem. So it's going to take up a lot of space and give some support. And I think that one would look good right here. Okay. Oh yeah, that is starting to look pretty darn nice. I am getting some good feels from this. This is great. And the other two dahlias have shorter stems. Let me see which one has the shortest stem. Okay, this one has slightly longer stems, so I'm going to use that one next. And I'm going to put that one in right here. Okay, that is looking they would be in a garden. Oh yeah, I think that looks quite nice. This is a ballerina zinnia, and this is a ballerina zinnia. It has a fairly short stem. We can actually lengthen that by using a twist tie. And all you need to do is get another piece of a good sturdy stem and use a twist tie, wrap it around 2 or 3 times. Now, this only works really well if you're using a vase that you can't see through. But if you're using a glass vase that's transparent, you can also do this by using florist tape, or you can also use a green twist tie and it will practically disappear. And all you have to do is to make sure that the lowest part of the shorter of the stem that has a short stem, you've got to make sure that this part will be in the water, and check on that. So I'm going to use a twist tie again and make these two into one by using a twist tie. I like to wrap it around several times and then twist the tie together. The other flowers will help support this when it's going to be placed in the vase. And I think right here, these two little delicate snapdragons would look very, very pretty. Yes, I like that right there very much. And we still have another one of the magnificent dahlias, and I think that we need that one right up front and center and low down. So all I have left now in the bucket are a few daisies and one more snapdragon. So this daisy is nowhere near open yet, but I think, let me just see how long it is. I cut a little bit of it off. I think if I tuck it in right here, when it opens later, it will be a nice contrast to these dahlias that are here. Oh yeah, I think that just adds a little brightness right there. That one doesn't look as good. No, I have two here that still look good. This one looks quite nice, and do a little trim, and I'm going to tuck that one in right here. Okay, I like that. And oh, this one's really nice. This is a fabulous one. Make sure no leaves are below the surface. And I think I'd like to have that one about right there. So I think it's just about the right length. So I'm going to tuck that one in right here. Okay, so here we go. What do you think? This is my arrangement that I...
What sort of flowers do you like to cut from your garden to put together to make a bouquet? Do you try to take some so that they are not missed as well? I would love to hear all about it in the comments.